Lu Fan. She will speak about financial wellness. Before that, I just have a couple of announcements. The first one is that we still have 2 open positions for the board of directors of the AAPMP for president-elect and mentorship. If you're interested, you're welcome to use the QR code to do your application via the link. And we also are going to be able to possibly getting a free $100 gift card from Figs if you participate on our assessment post webinar. So we can give you us your feedback, and you can win enter into a raffle to win a $100 US dollars Figs gift card. Okay, so today's speaker is Dr. Lu Fan. She has a PhD in financial planning, housing, and consumer economics at the University of Georgia. She is an expert on financial education and literacy, financial socialization, and financial well-being. Currently, she's an assistant professor of financial planning at the University of Georgia, and she's soon to be an associate professor. She's also an associate editor of the Financial Planning Review and Financial Services Review, and she works at editorial board of the Journal of Financial Counseling and Planning and the Journal of Personal Finance, and she's currently a board member of the American Council of Consumer Interests. So I would like to thank Dr. Lu Fan for joining us, and I will stop my share here.
I'll be sharing my screen. I hope you all are able to look at my screen, and thank you so much for the introduction. And I'm really glad to be here, and I really appreciate this opportunity to present this topic of financial well-being. Particularly, I want to touch a little bit in the context of navigating student loan debt. And thank you all for being here on this Saturday afternoon. And it's a great weather here in Georgia, Athens, Georgia. And I hope you are doing good at this weekend. So this is agenda of my presentations. We will spend about the next 40 minutes or so talking about this topic. I will do a little introduction about myself, and then I'll introduce this topic of financial well-being, and then also the AAPI community and their current financial well-being status. Also, I'll start with also talk about student loans and how it is related to financial well-being, and then some overview about student loan debt for veterinarians. And the financial education capability factors, I'll also talk about those and how improved financial literacy and financial capability can help student loan borrowers to reach financial well-being. And towards the end, I'll talk some essential money management skills for young adults and young professionals, and also some cultural considerations when we're working on financial planning and managing our own finances. I'll end up with resources for financial assistance and open up for a Q&A session. So a little bit about myself. Like Daniel mentioned, I'm assistant professor at University of Georgia, and my research really focuses on financial well-being. And then it is a very broad and multidimensional concept. And there's so many different ways for people to reach financial well-being. It could through improved financial literacy and capability, or fostering a good financial planning habits and behavior. And some of my recent projects focuses on young adults' financial well-being from also different perspectives, including their perceived stress over student loans and credit card debts, early socialization and financial socialization experiences with their parents, and how those experiences influence their early adulthood financial management decisions and behaviors. So So that's a little bit about myself. Today, I will focus on the topic of student loans and financial well-being, and also trying to connect it to the AAPI communities and veterinary profession. So this is a little bit definition about financial well-being. So we talk about financial well-being and financial wellness all the time. And it really just a reflection of a person's ability to the following 3 bullet points. So the first reflects the ability to control personal and financial matters. So that may range from some more simple financial tasks like day-to-day expenses, doing budgeting, to more complicated decisions like investment and savings. And secondly, financial well-being is also a reflection of one's ability to cope with financial shocks. So those financial shocks may be directly related to the income source, like if someone experienced a job loss or income reduction, it's considered a direct financial shocks. But it could also be something more financial or bring in financial stress because of life events or life changes. Like there could be a medical emergencies or unexpected car repairs or home repairs, or even divorce or separation can be a stressor events for a lot of individuals and families. So those will also lead to some potential financial shocks. And the third thing is for financial well-being, it also reflect the ability for a person to achieve financial goals and reach financial freedom. So financial freedom here is a more ideal status for individuals and families to possess sufficient financial resources and assets, and also have a steady stream of income, and to keep their desired lifestyle. So according to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, having financial well-being is when an individual can have the control over day-to-day finances, have the capacity to absorb any financial shocks, and are also on track to meet the financial goals and have the financial freedom to make choices and enjoy life. Why financial well-being is such an important topic? So because it mainly has 2 components. So we have said that it reflects different abilities for individuals and families, but it really also has 2 components, and one related to the family's current financial stress and also their expectation of future financial securities. And it's a very important for overall life satisfaction, health, and also success through those following aspects. For personal fulfillment, financial well-being can provide individual a sense of security, freedom, and also control their overall life. So it also enables people to not only meet their basic day-to-day needs, but also help them achieve their personal goals. Financial well-being can also reduce stress, and there are a lot of evidence showing that having financial stress will have a huge impact on their mental health and mental illness. So by achieving financial well-being, people can also reduce their stress and improve financial and also life satisfaction. For education and career opportunities, so financial well-being can also open doors for people to pursue higher education, and which is also considered a great way for social mobility. And it also opened doors for career advancement and personal improvement. So it ultimately could lead to increased earnings potential. For long-term security, financial well-being can also allow individuals to not only just meet day-to-day needs, but also plan for a long-term financial security, like saving for retirement, invest in assets, and so on, so that they can meet their long-term financial goals. For financial relations and dynamics, the importance of financial well-being can be seen as a help or financial stability can help build a healthy financial relationships because of a lot of financial struggles and conflicts is due to the financial instability or financial hardship, and then it can also harm family member relationships. And lastly, the community and social impact. When we talk about financial well-being is more of individual level or household level, but it's overall the financial stability of individuals and families, and can also possibly contribute to our communities and also make a positive impact on a broader scale. So that's why it is very important for financial well-being and also reaching financial well-being. I'll talk about the AAPI population's financial well-being. And before that, here is an overview of the AAPI population. So based on the US Census Bureau 2022 data, there are over 24 million of Americans identify themselves as Asian, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islanders. And this is about over 7% of the nation's population. The graph you're seeing here is done by Pew Research Center. We are probably around here in 2024. And then by 2060, is projected to reach over 46 million of overall Asian populations in the US. And overall, the AAPI is a culturally and also geographically diverse population with issues to over 20 countries and regions. And because of this diverse backgrounds, the AAPI subgroups may also differ by income, education levels, religion, cultural values, and other characteristics. And here's a study on financial well-being of AAPI communities and individuals. So it shows that overall, the AAPI individuals have higher income and higher assets compared to other races and ethnicities. Despite the fact of that, Asian American are least confident about their current financial well-being. The data showing that only 29% were comfortable with their current financial status versus 42% for other races and ethnicities or non-Asian Americans. And the second important finding is that the Asian Americans are the least hopeful and optimistic about their financial future. So 43% were helpful versus 61% for non-AAPI respondents, and 39% were optimistic versus 59% for non-AAPI respondents. So when we're talking about the financial well-being, there are always two ways to measure it. There are measures using income and assets, or more of a number, objective number measures. Some researchers also use financial ratios to see how much of the household asset can cover their long-term debt. So those are considered more objective aspects or objective measure of financial well-being. And what I'm showing here, the low confidence, the low hopeness, and optimistic. So those are more subjective area of financial well-being. So we can see that there is a mismatch between the AAPI's objective aspects of financial well-being versus their subjective or perceived level of financial well-being. And also because of this really diverse backgrounds and country of regions of AAPI subgroups, there's also a large wealth and income gaps within this AAPI subgroups. This is a report done by the FINRA Investor Education Foundation, and this examines the financial vulnerability of AAPI adults and families. So overall, it shows that the AAPI population in general have lowest score of financial well-being when compared to other races or ethnicities. But the figures showing on this page is that on the top left corner, you can see a breakdown of the AAPI subgroups from different regions of Asia and other regions and countries. The bar chart next to it on the top, it shows an overall financial vulnerability score by the AAPI group. And it shows the Pacific Islanders are on average having a high financial vulnerability score compared to other AAPI subgroups. And the figure down below, it breaks down to 5 different areas when we're talking about financial vulnerability. So it has, the first one is able to come up with $2,000 when there's an emergency. Second is occasionally overdraws checking accounts. The third is lack emergency saving. Fourth is having difficulty paying off their daily bills. And the last one is they're carrying carry over balance from their credit card. So they not paying credit card balance in full. And the Pacific Islanders are found consistently at higher risk of financial vulnerability compared to other AAPI groups. And the second is Southeast Asia. Those AAPI subgroup also is suffering a higher risk of financial vulnerability. So this is a little bit overview about AAPI community and also the financial well-being status of AAPI population. And next, I will talk about how financial loans can affect financial well-being. And I believe this is also a topic that a lot of you are interested in. So right now, the US student loan debt totals 1.74 trillion as of September last year. And then roughly 43 million Americans are now having outstanding federal student loans. And this is about 13% of the overall US population. And the table down below is a breakdown for by age groups for number of student loan borrowers and their average student loan debt per borrower. And the age group of 25 to 34 has the largest number of student loan borrowers, followed by the age group between 35 to 49 age group. So now student loan debt is the second largest consumer debt after mortgage debt. And there are still a lot of students and parents still rely on student loans and borrowing student loans to cover their education, because the cost of higher education has been increasing significantly in the past decades. Here's some data I collected showing the student loan debt increase for veterinarians. So the average student loan debt for the entire graduating vet class of 2022, including borrowers and non-borrowers, was about $147,000. And then among those, around 82% of the students were student loan borrowers. If we only consider this 82% student loan borrowers, the debt balance that they're carrying was about $179,000. The trend figure below, this is provided by the American Veterinary Medical Association, is showing that there probably is a slight decrease in the overall student loan debt in the past few years among the graduates. But overall, you will see in the past few decades, it follows an increasing trend. So on this page, I'll talk about some student loan types and repayment plans, and also related for the vet professions. The student loan types, there are federal student loans and there are also private student loans. And the first is federal student loans for health profession students. It usually is considered offering a lower interest rate. It's a type of subsidized loans, offering lower interest rate and longer grace period compared to other federal student loan types. And the second is the federal unsubsidized and graduate plus loans. This is also a federal loan that is available for some eligible graduate students. For private student loans, and some individuals may prefer to also seek out for those private lenders if they offer a good term for the loans compared to federal loans, but it really depending on the credit score and credit history, or if there's a co-signer with the parents, it also depending on the parents or co-signers' credit history and credit score. So some repayment plans, those are some examples, but also there are other more detailed repayment plans out there. But overall, the standard federal student loan repayment is 10 years. And if after graduation, the young professionals cannot afford this monthly payment and they want to reduce their monthly payment, there could be also different income-driven repayment plans out there, like the pay as you earn is one example that can help or extend the repayment term from 10 years to 20 to 25 years, so that the monthly repayment will be reduced. There's also a new income-driven repayment plan called the SAVE plan, or is the Saving on a Valuable Education, which is launched in August 2023 as part of the Biden-Harris Student Loan Debt Relief Plan. And the key difference is that compared to the older pay-as-you-earn or revised pay-as-you-earn plans, it provides it's still also depending on its discretionary income, but it's calculated based on a smaller percentage of the discretionary income compared to all or the older IDR plans. So, and it also provides some interest subsidies for borrowers to help them make timely payments. But this is helping borrowers to reduce their monthly repayments. And there are also some loan forgiveness programs out there. One of those is the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, and the other is the Veterinary Medicine Loan Repayment Program. And those will forgive some remaining balance of the student loans, but they all have their requirements, like you have to serve in the public sector for at least a number of years in the profession to receive those forgiveness benefits. There could be some state-based vet loan forgiveness program out there, and then available for the student loan borrowers in the vet profession. And as I said, financial well-being is my research interest, and also how financial education and literacy can help student loan borrowers is also another of my research interests. So this is just some findings of my research that I've published in 2018 related to financial education. So the first important finding is that for those who receive financial education in academic and professional setting, were less likely to make late student loan repayments, and they were less likely to worry about their financial loan debt. Receiving both financial education from academic and professional setting, and also learn finances from their parents when they're growing up, will also contribute to less worry about their financial or student loan debt. So this study is just highlighting the importance of receiving financial education, and also the early experience of learning finances, some fundamental finances from their parents. So on this slide, I just want to take a couple minutes for you to think about those questions. And those questions are included in the 2015 National Financial Capability Study. It's really just assess the overall US populations, their attitudes about student loan, and then their student loan debt behaviors. So I'll give you a couple minutes, and you don't have to put anything in the chat. You can just mentally work on those selections, and or maybe put a piece of paper and jot down your answers. And as you're working on the questions, reading through the questions and options, these questions were only provided to the student loan borrowers, to the survey respondents. So, and for non-borrowers, they're not answering those questions. All right, I hope you all had a chance to take a look at those questions. And the next page I'm going to show is how those questions is measuring and the findings of one of my papers using those questions. So the first question is really just asking the individuals about whether they were trying to calculate their monthly repayments before they apply for a student loan. So we call this a student loan calculation. So knowing the anticipated monthly payments is really important for not only just for student loan, it could also relate to when you're trying to borrow a car loan or borrowing a mortgage. Figuring out the monthly payments can help the individual to budget more efficiently. You want to make sure that the monthly payment is affordable, is not beyond your ability to pay off. The second question is whether you're being late on loan payment. This is measuring the loan delinquency. So there are some consequences for being late to pay off student loans. Some lend also depending on whether it's a federal versus private student loans, the lenders may have different terms, but in general, they will have charge some late fees. Some lenders would charge late fees if you miss a payment deadline. Or it could also negatively impact your credit score or also harm the credit history. So with a lower credit score, you probably, it's hard for you to qualify for other type of loans or credits with a favorable interest rates. The third question is about loan stress. And this is really just a mental aspects measure about how stressful you are about not being able to pay off student loans. And a really interesting finding with that is for a lot of female student loan borrowers, they're more likely to feel stressed about their student loans than male student loan borrowers. Well, male student loan borrowers would actually more likely to making late payments or the loan delinquency. So there might be some gender effects, like female in general are more likely to feel more stressed about any type of burdens. And also there could be some cultural reasons that in some cultural backgrounds, holding debts is a negative thing. And there's also interesting finding that for those who are able to make their monthly payments, they still feel stressful. So this stress towards student loans could be also an issue, and having a good understanding of the current situations is really important for the individual, especially young adults. And sometimes the stress might be not needed because you are making monthly payment. You know how long it takes for you to pay it off. That's about loan stress. And the fourth question is that if you're going to do it again, do you want to do following the same action or change some of the actions? It's really measuring the loan satisfaction. So it's more of a self-reflection about their decision-making process of taking their student loans, and also how they view or perceive the outcomes of their borrowing decisions. So in that study, we also examined the financial knowledge, financial capability, and also financial education experiences. And we found that those factors were significantly associated with all these four student loan related outcomes. So with that, given the importance of financial education, I wanted to just list out some financial education sources. It can be divided up into a formal education source and informal education source. From high school, in some states now have the high school financial education mandates, but now I think there's only about 25 states require students to graduate from high school to take personal finance courses. Some other states still don't require those for high school graduates. There are also a formal, more structured curriculum in college and university programs, like what we're offering here in our department. We're a CFP registered program. There's also some introductory level courses available to students across the campus to take for introductory personal finance. For workforce, there's also more of continuing education source provided by employers. So if you are young professionals going to the workforce, and then when you're trying to establish your 401k plans or establish your traditional or Roth 401k or IRA plans, and the employers also always provide the retirement workshops for their employees to take to learn more about their retirement saving options or investment options outside of retirement plans. And the informal education, sometimes it's also called financial socialization. So it's usually just learned from parents. So we think there are different socialization agents, but the parents or guardians are always the most significant financial socialization source for a lot of us. And then peers, friends, and colleagues. So when the individual grow up and going to high school and college and start to work, they have more interactions with the peers and friends and colleagues around them. So this will also be a source of financial information, financial education. They will learn from each other and share information as well. The other source is financial professionals, is regardless of whether you're working with a financial advisor or financial planner or financial counselors, or if you're working with insurance agent, for example, you learn different aspects of personal finance information from them. And also media now plays a very important role for young adults, especially is social media, that a lot of information is on social media, on TikTok or YouTube or Twitter, that is about finances, about specific stock or cryptocurrencies, for example. Some information related to personal finance can also be received from the social media or the general media that we use in our daily life. And for financial capability factors, the financial literacy and financial confidence is a very important aspects. So the study also shows the importance of them in relate to positively managed debt, and also their positive role in financial well-being. So financial literacy has two aspects. That includes the financial knowledge and also the financial skills of the individual. So financial knowledge is more factual information about your knowledge, knowing the financial concepts or products, whether you can differentiate between, for example, individual stock versus a mutual fund, or whether you are understanding the power of compounding of interest, and you're knowing the differences in retirement plan types and so on. So that's what actually you are knowing about those concepts. The financial skills is more practical skills and practical capacities that a lot of people know about the basics or fundamental knowledge, but they don't have the necessary skill to really apply their knowledge. So those are two aspects for financial literacy. For those who are having higher financial literacy, that means you don't not only knowing the financial concepts, but also have the capacity to apply those knowledge in practice. The next thing is financial confidence, and sometimes it's also called a financial self-efficacy or perceived capability of managing finances. It's really whether you think yourself is capable of managing financial matters. It's found that for young adults, they are on average lack those financial confidence to make decisions on their financial matters. So that's a really important aspect for young adults to really learn from their practice and also improve their financial confidence. And on this chart, I'm just trying to separate short-term versus long-term financial management skills for young adults or young professionals, or if you're college students. I think they're also important skills to think about. So when we're talking about financial goals, there always be short-term and long-term. For short-term, this is something or any goal that you have within a year or so. For longer term is anything longer than a year, and there could be also medium-term financial goals is longer than 1 year, but within around 5 years on average, but within 5 years. And then, but when you're setting the goals, make sure you're using this SMART financial goal strategy, that your goal is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. There's a study showing that when you are putting the goals out, it could be sticky notes on your desktop. It could be something that you write in your journal. If you have a more specific goal, is easier to achieve, especially financial goals, like you want to save $2,000 by the end of the year, and then you put that on your sticky notes, and you see that often, like every day when you sit in front of your desktop, you see this is your goal. You make the goal more clear to yourself, and also want to make sure it's achievable. It's not like within the next 6 months, I will become a millionaire. That might be not achievable. But you always also want to set a timeline for your goal, so to make it achievable. So that comes to some financial tasks that are specifically considered short-term versus the others are considered more long-term. So for the short-term ones, financial tasks like making monthly budget, and I know some people prefer to even make a weekly budget, or tracking your expenses. that I found is very useful among young adults. So a lot of young people didn't realize how much they spend on Starbucks or coffee shops until they start tracking on their expenses on the coffee or snacks, and they realize they probably spent too much on those. And then emergency savings is considered adequate level when you're saving from 3 to 6 months of living expenses. So that is also considering a short term. It can also provide build a buffer for people to deal with, for example, a flat tire or any of those emergencies. Credit card debt management. So this credit card debt is also considered short term. You want to make sure that you're paying off your credit card through the credit card cycle. And I know there are a lot of young adults are using those BNPL, the buy now, pay later options when they're doing their online shopping. So that's also considered a shorter term borrowing. So make sure that you're making the timely repayment on those borrowings. And then also saving for short-term goals. That could be some goals related to a vacation, if you want to go to Europe with your friends for vacation, or just trying to upgrade your laptop. Those will consider short-term goals. Also reviewing financial accounts. This is also important. The accounts are including, for example, your savings account statements, your credit card statements, to make sure that you're not a victim of financial fraud. And also there is always check your financial or your credit scores, and also check your credit reports. There's a free credit report check from 3 of those credit unions and credit bureaus. So you can see how your credit scores are changing and whether there is a unauthorized expense in your credit cards. So that's very important to monitor your financial accounts. Or if you already have your like brokerage accounts to make investments, also make sure to see how your portfolio has changed. And for the long term, this might be related to student loan debt, and mortgages are considering longer term debt. So also make sure that you explore those options if you, for example, need to refinance, or if you want to consolidate your student loans. Those are also options out there. Refinancing are also a common option for a lot of mortgage loan borrowers. For retirement saving, you want to make sure that you are contributing regularly to your employer-sponsored plan, like 401k plans, and also use those traditional or Roth IRAs to take the tax benefits. There's also investment decisions, also when you are planning for the long term related to investments. And education savings is for those younger parents or parents with young kids. If they also want to save for their kids' future education, there might be also another purpose to save for education. So the risk management refers to the insurance coverage, whether you currently have enough life insurance coverage or health insurance coverage, or if you're renting, whether you're having renter's insurance and so on. So to mitigate the potential risk of financial loss. Lastly is estate planning, and this is also an important area for overall financial planning. So a lot of culture backgrounds, they value more about those charitable givings. So the estate planning will also is having those different strategies and tools to donate for charitable organizations. And also it has also build different ways for people to transfer their assets to other family members. And on this page, those are some cultural considerations when we talk about financial planning and overall the AAPI culture and also other cultural backgrounds. The cultural values can shape our financial priorities and goals. And like I mentioned, the importance of financial socializations, how you observe, how you learned from your parents are very important. It can influence our attitudes towards money, towards debt, and also our beliefs and behaviors related to money management. The first is the attitude towards debt. Like I mentioned, some cultures view debt as more negative. So debt could be a taboo, but other cultures think is a normal part of financial management because debt, there are good debt or bad debt. When you are borrowing the debt to invest for your own human capital, like those student loans, they are considered good debt, but revolving credit card debt will be considered bad debts. Really, the cultural attitudes play a very important role here. And secondly is the family dynamics. So family are usually a very central to a lot of AAPI cultures and families. So some cultures will have this filial piety and also respect to the others, and there might be the younger generation's responsibility or obligations to support the older or senior generations. So how to balance between the within family financial obligations and your personal financial goals could be a very important thing to think about and to balance. And thirdly is the financial education and literacy through socialization. So our cultural norms and also educational backgrounds can also influence how we are willing to learn, how much we're willing to learn financial knowledge and financial literacy, and how willing that we are to help others or in the communities to share our thoughts and information. So a lot of times we have this AAPI cultures are also emphasize the importance of savings for the futures and emphasize the financial prudence, making responsible money management. So that will also influence how we spend and how we save in our daily life as well. And this page shows some resources for financial assistance for students or young professionals. And the top two are I found that might be more applicable to the vet professions or the AAPI communities. So the first is the Asian and Pacific Islander American Scholarship Fund, and then the American Veterinary Medical Association. They will have some scholarships or funds to support either AAPI scholars or the vet professions. And if you're still in college, the university will have their financial aid offices, and they will help you to work on some borrowing options. And also they may also offer different scholarships or grants on the college or department levels. And then the professional development funds, if you're young professionals, sometimes employers or vet hospitals and organizations may also offer a professional development funds for you to advance your own career and skills, professional skills. The other one is community organizations. Like we're having today right now, you have a really great networking opportunities provided through these organizations. And some organizations will also build the mentor-mentee relationship, and you can also receive mentorship from other professions or more senior professions. Also, some of those may also provide financial assistance for young professionals. And then lastly is financial counseling and planning services. And they can usually help with individuals for specific needs like managing student loan repayments. And a lot of times they also offer a wider broad of financial services like building a budget or working on investment plans, if this is a more comprehensive financial planning services. So those are some resources that I found might be relevant and helpful for you all. And so now I will open a Q&A session and to see if you have any questions or comments or any feedback.
I opened the chat for them to ask questions. I let them know that they can ask directly as well.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel.
Um,
And they can also unmute themselves and ask, right?
yes, they can do that.
Okay.
And thank you for this speech. I'm very fortunate because I'm the first generation here in the US, and I did my vet school in Brazil, so I don't carry that on that. But my son was born here in the US, so it's gonna be a totally different approach for him.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm doing the savings for him for college. That I probably that's because when you talk on the slide, it look like you're talking directly to me about this cultural thing that our next generation should not carry that. So I'm from Japanese background, probably came from that. But I think it's unlikely for me to save enough for him not to carry any of that. But that's one thing that I need to teach him how to deal with that. And thank you for the resources that you gave. Like I think he's too young to learn about that. He's 7, so I don't know when should I start teaching him about that, how because I think living in the US is a very different culture about carrying that for life. That's one thing that I didn't have to do in Brazil.
Yeah.
My question is, when is a good time to start teaching that to?
Yeah. So there is the CFPB, the Consumer Protection Bureau. They have a really great resources for different population. So I think they have some resources for parents, for young parents, so that there might be some game that create between parents and kids to learn through playing. You're not sitting there and saying, hey, I'm teaching a lesson, but instead you're playing some sort of game to gamify the knowledge, and then so they can also learn it. And I think when they're growing a little bit older, and you can start sharing some of your experience. So there is a qualitative study I read before about some young adults retrospective memory about what they learned from their parents are very useful when they're young. And some students are saying that when they were kids, their parents just share them or just take them to the bank. For example, if you're opening up a high yield savings account, you're telling them, being really transparent with them and saying why you're opening the accounts. And sometimes when you if you're using the app, you can bring them along with you. And then when you really have them involved in some of those management practice or decisions, they will ask their own questions and also bring their interest in those money management practice.
Yeah, Daniel, we're gonna actually sit down with our financial consultant with our 18-year-old son before he goes to college so that he can get a little educating on that regard.
Thank you.
Maybe just having them more involved instead of, hey, I'll take care of this, I'm the parent, I'll take care of it. But also maybe sometimes ask their opinion about, hey, I have 2 options. What do you think is good for me or for us, for our family right now?
Thank you. I think that's a very good. I need recommendations later, Corey. In 11 years, I will ask you again.
Since there's no questions in the chat yet, I do
we have one
have
question
one
in the chat.
question. Oh, I
Yeah,
can't see them.
yeah. We have a question from Chen. If she has any, if you have any guideline for monthly budgeting.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good question. So before I've asked students to use the app called Mint, but I think it's no longer there. But there are all different sorts of free apps that you can use and the first thing is that you are knowing how much you spend right now on different categories. So once you know how much you're doing that, and then you can think about how much those are unnecessary. So if I want to cut my monthly expense in general, which category I can cut a little bit, like dining out, or some subscriptions can I share with my friends, or some examples like that. The app I think is a great way because and I think some other apps too, but I haven't tried them, that you can link your credit cards or checking accounts to that app. So whenever you're swiping your card or making expense, it'll automatically be included in a predetermined categories that they think using their app. So every day or every week, you can check there's a ring bar or bar chart and seeing how much money you spend on which category. If you don't want to use those, you could also just do it your own using Excel spreadsheet. I really love Excel spreadsheet. I think is really powerful thing that you could really just track things on your own. When we are creating our financial planning cash flow sheet, there are expenses that I'm tracking that include discretionary and non-discretionary expenses. So the non-discretionary might be something you have to pay, like the utility or the rent. So when you're trying to cut your expense, those are the things you want to remain there. You cannot really touch those. But for the other, like your, like I said, the dining out or clothing or transportations or groceries, those are the things might be more flexible for you to cut. But strategy-wise or tool-wise, apps, definitely more options, more automatic features, and Excel spreadsheets could also another way that you could create your own beautiful Excel spreadsheet and paying more attention on your expenses. Did I answer your question well, Chen? Thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you. We have one more question from Sophia. What are ways to prepare financially before moving out for young people?
I think those are being questions is in the transition in more financially independent on yourself. Is that right? So I think is that you want to make sure that either you're having your income as a source, and also make sure that your expense, including those rents, is a really large part out of your income. The non-discretionary expenses I mentioned, those utilities and bills are the things you want to make sure your earning can cover your expense, and also make sure you're not spending more than your income. That means you're always carrying a debt from month to month. So a lot of times those young adults at the beginning of becoming financially independent, they're struggling because they didn't realize how much they need to care about spending every day to make sure that their spending is within their budget or within their income levels. So overall, keep a longer term goal of always save something from your income, from your paycheck, it could be as small as like $50 if you're from your paycheck, or if you have a higher income, it could be 8 to 10% of your paycheck. And as you're moving along, it could increase to even 20% of your paycheck towards saving. But in order to have enough money to save, you also want to make sure you are budgeting wisely so that your income can cover those necessities. Hope that's helpful.
Can I ask that question about good debt versus bad debt?
Yeah.
So the hardest time I have convincing vet students, once they get out, about not worrying so much about their educational debt. It's so hard to convince them. And I think it was hard for me as well. And I think some of it was the frugal Japanese upbringing that I had, but our financial consultant was very much, you cannot get a loan later in life to pay for retirement, or you probably won't be able to get a lot to pay for your child's college. So pay into those now. Don't worry about your good debt, but a lot of graduates go out and the first thing they want to do is get rid of that student debt. And so they pay that down instead. Do you have any words of advice there?
I think those are really just personal choices. There are cases I know that a lot of people really just want to get off their debt as soon as possible. And I think student loan debt could be just one of those, especially for married spouses, and both spouses are student loan borrowers and they carry a high debt. And that also affects their decisions of the timing when they will get their first home, because they carry those debts. But paying debt earlier, that means you're using more higher percentage of your income to paying towards the debt, and that may also influence what you currently can spend. That's, I think, could be a way, but following those standard like 10 years to pay off, or using the income-driven plans to extend it longer, so your monthly repayment amount is lower. That could be also an option too. It's really depending on how the family make the decisions. And sometimes for a lot of Asian families, if you get inheritance, that happens a lot from parents or grandparents, how to make decisions for the inherited money or asset could be also an option too. Do I want to pay it off my student loan first, or do I want to invest it first, or donate them? There could be different options, and I think it's good that because you already have your financial advisor, so I believe the professionals can give a lot more different scenarios of what happened if you pay off your debt now versus if you keep the standard 10 years, what would happen right now?
Thank you. There's another question in the chat from Kitty about whether scholarships are allowed, but I'm a little bit confused about the context. Kitty, did you want to unmute and elaborate a little bit? No pressure though.
I was guessing that is Katie asking, is a scholarship allowed while you are borrowing student loans? But yeah, if you want to tell us more about your question, it'll be great. and sometimes scholarship work differently than student loan, or scholarships and grants also have their differences, and sometimes scholarship require you to work on something, or part-time for a professor, and grants are sometimes just a grant giving you without you repaying them, or without working. So you receive a grant or receive a scholarship, and you could receive both while you are borrowing for a student loan. I hope that answers a little bit about the question.
Yeah, I have a question related to that about savings, 529 savings and scholarships. Does it exclude you to apply for some certain scholarships if you have savings accounts for 529 accounts?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because really depending on the type of scholarship, because some scholarships have they're financial need based. So that needs the student, when they file their FAFSA, you need to show that you are or student loans, you are financially needy for that grant or scholarship. And some doesn't have it. Some are more merit-based. So I mean, really depending on the GPA of a student, for example. So I'll say it depends on the type of scholarships.
Thank you. I think we can share my last screen then. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
so that we have the Kitty scholarship for the needy persons was the
Oh, okay. And I also saw Ella asked, what are the 5 pillars of financial wellness? And this is really good question. I will say that financial education, financial literacy, and also financial behaviors are very important aspects of reaching financial wellness and financial well-being. And also you receive financial advice from others. Open your mind to accept some information that might be sometimes different from yours, and really open to some new knowledge, and always open to learn. Those are good questions. And I have my contact information on the share screen. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any other questions or want to discuss more about this topic or other money management topics.
Thank you. I will share my the QR code for the feedback. So I think we had a question before. Is the gift card is from a raffle? After you complete you get an entry to a raffle after you complete the survey. Okay. So thank you very much. It was I think we've had a lot of comments here that was so informative for our community. I think it was perfect, was on the spot for us. Thank you so much for helping us during this month.
And I really appreciate this opportunity again. I really did learn a lot through this presentation preparation, and I'm really happy to be here. And these are really great questions and comments as well from the members and attendees today. So thank you all, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fan.
Thank you, and you all have a good weekend.
Thank you. Sorry.
You can just leave it up for a few more minutes or something.
Yes, yeah, I will leave that open. That's good.
Thank-
I like that. And
Thanks, Grina. Oops, she's gone. She's your successor. Well, you remember her, right?
yes,
Or
yes,
not your successor, Keegan's.
Keegan's, yeah.
All right.
Um,
And it seems like some people are having a problem with the QR code. So what I can do is send the link out
yeah, let me see. Mhm.
to folks based on the attendance on the Zoom. Oh, but we can stop recording at least.